early, but why not? Hello to the 4 people who are currently watching and have liked. Thank you very much. Hello, John, and hello, Simon S63 Tech. How you doing, man? How's things? Yeah. How has everybody's week been? Oh, I should post on a bird before you get an email notification. Hello. Discovered Fallout Resurrection. Don't know how I missed it since I grew up on the best Fallout game of all time, Fallout 2. Nice. I'm not a Fallout player, weirdly enough. I think there's not enough fast travel or like ways to travel quickly for me to be interested. I think that's why I don't like things like I don't know, Witcher or Skyrim or whatever. It's just not quite my thing. Starfield, on the other hand, with spaceships. Although then again, it also requires a spaceship to run it. So, hello, Simon. Hello, Ajay, and hello, Harry. How you guys doing? How's things? Simon, I think you can rest easy because I think we are changing clocks this weekend. Sunday 29th of October. So yeah, this weekend. So next week's stream will be earlier for you, I think. Either way, yeah, nice. Just got back from sunny Skeg. Not so sunny, in fact. Nothing but rain. Yeah, it's something right here. Oh, good, thanks, Sunny. Good. My 8700K and 2070 are struggling with Starfield. Fortunately, I have no time to play yet another game. Fair enough. Yeah. I have a tendency to like speedrun stuff. It's hyper focusing. It's part of the very much neurodivergence. So I finished the main quest at level 29. Um, and yeah, it was too fast. Which AMD processor will be the best pair for a 3060 Ti for gaming as well as AI and ML training? Well, generally speaking, AI and ML training will be on the GPU. 3060 Ti. How much VRAM does 3060 Ti have? I don't remember. Sure. It has 8 gigabytes. That is a terrible card for AI and ML training. Yeah. The 3060 is actually better because it has 12 gig, which is what I have in my system, and it's partially why I have it in my system. But yeah, so if you're looking to do AI, you need all of the VRAM in the world, basically. If you're gonna do it on the CPU, which some do support, but a lot of the time it doesn't work very well, then you need as many cores as possible, basically. So you gotta you know the best pair is one of the new Threadrippers. Although I suspect if you're buying a 3060 Ti, you probably don't have whatever it is, $5,000 to spend on the new 64 core that can run machine learning or large language models on the CPU. Hello, Joe. How you doing? How you doing, man? How's things? How has your week been? Nice you'll start at 7 a.m., not 6. Wonderful. Nothing will change for me. Except I'll get an extra hour of sleep on Sunday? Right? Or is this the bad one? I can't remember. Yeah. I've been busy again. Specifically, I've been busy designing another tool. Oops. Yeah. I want to ask if a Ryzen 9 7900X3D and a 7900 XT, amazing naming there, AMD, is a good combo. Yeah. yeah, it is. That's a pretty decent experience. I would say so. Yeah. Um. Hello, Watson. How you doing? How's things? I am man of tech indeed. It's been an okay week. Emotional day though. Dad's 1 year anniversary of him passing. Spent it with family and had a good time. How have you been this week? Well, once again, our condolences. I hope you're, doing all right. And how have I been this week? Good question. Let me think. Uh, 4 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Yeah, probably that. I've had a lot of pain. My lower back has been bad, but both shoulders and arms have been pretty bad this week. So it's kind of difficult to focus when you're in pain 24/7. So yeah, but yeah, I've been keeping busy. Like I said, I've been toying with a new tool for testing monitors, obviously. With it being based on this little sensor. How close can I get before it will focus? The one that's marked U2 there. That is a XYZW color sensor. This is a little like add-in board that someone has conveniently already put that sensor on for me. So I don't need to buy one and then solder it or whatever. But yeah, so basically I want to make a color calibrator, or more specifically a monitor color tester. I already have had a little play with it. I've only got it 2 days ago, so my amount of playing is very little. But yeah, basically I want to have some level of way to test color accuracy so that you can have a latency tester, you can have a response time tester, and you can have a color and sort of brightness tester, all from me, basically. That sensor is actually pretty good. It conforms to the CIE waveform quite well. And the weird thing is that it can do something ridiculous like 144,000 lux, which you divide lux by pi to get nits, which I can't do maths in my head, so I'm gonna divide by pi. 46,000 nits. That sensor can handle 46,000 nits. I think I'll be good. Dear. If you're asked to design a course pattern for a 2-year computer science degree, what would your syllabus be? So the thing is, I'm not qualified to do any of this. I'm not qualified to be a computer scientist. I'm not qualified to be technically even a tech reviewer. Really, I mean, there isn't exactly a qualification for that. I suppose maybe journalism, but I mean, I feel like I have expose enough journalistic integrity to qualify that one. But point is, so that's the thing. So to answer your question, honestly, I have no idea. I learned from the internet, so I'm not a good person to ask. I want to put the 7900X3D in an ASUS TUF B650 Plus Wi-Fi. Yes? Yes. It will work, yeah. There are relatively few limitations in going with B series chipset on AMD. You can't bifurcate graph. Oh no, you can. You can bifurcate your PCI lanes. You generally get less I/O, but if I'm being honest, that's what I would probably pick for a board. But yeah. my skin when I go in the sun will overload it then. As that about the nits of the sun, 46k nits, is it the sun? It's designed to calibrate the sun. Nice. So I was about to answer this because I'd already looked it up a while ago, but Simon has got there. The sun is 1.6 billion nits. It's not designed to calibrate the sun. Ambient lighting probably, but yeah, it's not. You can't just point at the sun. That would max it out. Although I'm not sure if it would damage it. I don't know. I'm not finding out. So yeah, that's the trick. And so it's a known sensor. There's an Arduino library for it that I'm already using. So it's all kind of, you know, above board. And yeah, that's the plan anyway. I've taken apart both my Spider 5 and my Spider X. So I know what sensors they use. The Spider 5 is a weird one because it's just 9 or 8 photodiodes with some colored colored plastic on top. Whereas the Spider X has a proper sensor. Unfortunately, the sensor that they're using is actually fairly similar in terms of its performance to this. It has a few more color channels that you don't really need. But it's no longer in production, and I can't find one that is a sort of direct replacement. So this is possibly my best bet. There are a couple of other sensors that I have in mind if this one doesn't, you know, meet my criteria once I've been testing. But the nice thing about this is that I bought that little breakout board from a company that micro at the box that was over there that make a lot of those sorts of boards for their own sort of ecosystem of Arduino type stuff. So for me, this is great because somebody's already put it on a PCB and they've already put it there. It did cost me a lot more than if I was building, you know, 5-10 of them, whatever. But it's a lot less hassle. So I only needed one just for testing, so that's fine. So yeah, that's what I've got for now. And he stood on the top of a giant ladder trying to calibrate the sun with his little OSRTT. Oh, don't tempt me. Hello, Zigman. How you doing? How's things? Incoming 100-point color calibrator. So color calibrator is probably not the right word because I don't know that I'll be offering, or at least my initial intention is for it to be a tester rather than a calibrator. So you know, I don't intend on having it create ICC profiles basically. I mean, I would like to, but yeah, that's a sort of future feature kind of thing. And I'm also at the like super early state. Like I bought an sensor, I have plugged it in, I have messed with the code of the library to get it to output what I'm interested in, and that's about it so far. I did one test last night where I just checked the lux output that this was giving, but from my monitor. And it was about 150 nits, which is about exactly what my monitor is set to. So yeah, it's working well. In the one test I've done so far. Hello TechteamGB and hello Ish. How you guys doing? How's things? Did I miss all the madness already? Well, I'm kind of terminally mad, so no. Yeah, I've been talking about my potential color monitor color tester. I can't stop doing stuff. In completely not interesting news, I bought a label printer for shipping labels. It arrived today. I haven't tested it yet. I bought a roll of 500 shipping labels. I think I'll be alright for a while. And actually, in very interesting news that I suppose I'd like your input on, MSI wants to sponsor a video, specifically the monitor division, and specifically with their monitors and me using this on their monitor. Will we be getting a review of the label printer? You know, probably not. No. No. This is the microphone for the latency tool. And actually, I don't see any names that I know own one of these, but if you do own one of these and you happen to be watching, I'm planning on posting or pushing the big update with the 4 to 5 new features built in tonight, tomorrow. Yeah. With all the parts, my PC needs 581 watts, but I don't have the money to upgrade my power supply. Is my 650 watt power supply okay? So the thing is that the big problem with power supplies and the especially newer hardware and especially newer graphics cards is that it's not necessarily their constant load that you need to account for. So a 7900 XT is what, 400 watts, I think, something like that. Maybe more actually, but something around that point with at a constant load. The thing is that when you first boot the games up, the graphics card kind of opens the floodgates and lets all the current in, but that often trips the overcurrent protection on your power supply, shutting your system off. So you're welcome to try it. You generally won't damage anything. Depends how good your power supply is, but generally speaking, with it just like shutting off because of overcurrent protection, that has you're not going to be damaging your components by having them just shut off quickly. So it's fine, but keep that sort of that current spike in mind. There's a new channel on the label. No. The wall behind will be plastered with labels. We'll get addicted to labeling. I hope not. I'm renting. I'd have to clean it all off. It's an 80 plus bronze Thermaltake VM2. That's probably not a good thing. Bronze is the lowest rating, and if I remember rightly, Thermaltake power supplies are not known for their absolute quality. Like again, you're probably not going to damage anything. It's probably fine, but again, something to keep in mind. Go for it as long as you have full autonomy of the content. Might as well make some coin smile. So yeah, that's the thing. No matter what happens with a sponsorship, I still retain the final say. If something is if they want something that I'm not willing to provide, I feel like I've already proven that I'm willing to say no to that sort of thing. So yeah, obviously they get to approve it as well if it's sponsored, but I still only make stuff that I would otherwise be willing to post. Might have a few more sort of key selling points included. I'm still happy to post the content that I do, sponsorship or not. So yeah, I think the thing that was interesting to me was that they said, we saw your open source latency tool, we really like it. Can we sponsor a video of you using it on our monitor, and can you send us one? And I think, you know, for a way to bring back sponsorship from a company that previously had been a little lackluster in their you know, arrangements, asking me to use the tool that I designed to test your monitors is normally a good sign. So yeah, I haven't, you know, I've said I'm interested, and they're already sending the monitor they want me to use for a review anyway. So I'll still be doing the review, but there's a few things we need to settle before, you know, I've confirmed everything and we're definitely going ahead. Although again, you know, if they ask for something that I'm not comfortable with doing, then it won't go ahead. Willing to be flexible but not compromise. Yes, sounds right. So yeah, possibly the most unique way that a company is asked to buy one though. That would be my leg that hurts or my knee, I suppose. At the moment. Anyone else suffering a terrible cold? Yes. I can live with the cough, the snot, and the congestion, but the insomnia for the last week has kicked my behind. I'm normally pretty good on insomnia. But yeah, definitely been sniffling and so I need a new power supply. Do you think a Corsair RM850E 850 watt gold is good? Yes. Yeah, I mean, so the wattage capacity is already good because you're sort of covering that initial load. And then also the fact that it's 80 plus gold means that it's a fair bit more efficient, and a fair bit of a better overall power supply in general. So yes. Of course, I seem to mess around with different cables all the time, or at least every 10 years or less for the modular cables. Yeah, I think they changed who their OE manufacturer was, which I think is what has made them change the, you know, pinouts and stuff. But yeah. Also in the laptop space, you can't quite see it, but please hold. I have an XMG laptop in. This one, fancy, because I yes, that's mechanical. It has mechanical keys, but they're not. It doesn't look mechanical, but you definitely have more travel, which is nice. And these are the clicky variety, so it's kind of nice. I quite like it. The Core 16. Completely silent. Silent. Does your mic cut out background noise? It does. Noise suppression. Oh right, fine. Try this again. But this time, if I talk just a little bit while I do it, then maybe you have a chance of hearing it. I've launched Starfield. I was pressing the enter key. But yeah, it's pretty, like, legitimately clicky. Now I need to close Starfield. There we go. And I must admit, I have really liked using it and typing on it. Is your family not being held at gunpoint with this laptop review? I mean, the last one wasn't either, as I said. What Switch do they use? I think they're MX. They're not MX low profiles, are they? Oh. It's the XMG Core 16. So let me find it. Sure. Keep Cherry MX ultra low profile tactile switches. Yes. Although the upper function row and number pad keys are membrane switches. Interesting. N-key rollover and anti-ghosting. I must admit, it's quite nice. And of course, because it's XMG, you can pick what spec you have. So I went with the 4060 instead of the 4070. But you get a 1600p 240Hz display, either a 4060 laptop or a 4070 laptop. Although the 4070 laptop GPU is 300 euros or 295 euros more, makes no difference. And you get a Ryzen 7 7840 HS, so 8 core, 16 threads, the usual. And then you can pick what RAM, SSD, second SSD, keyboard. Although that Cherry MX keyboard is 95 euros, so nah, it's still worth it. You can also pick if you want Intel or AMD Wi-Fi, which is kind of interesting. I went with the AMD one and it's fine. Yeah. Does the mechanical feel better than ThinkPad keyboards? I think so. It's been a while since I've typed on a ThinkPad keyboard, so I perhaps take my my opinion with a large boulder of salt. But 95 euros for a mechanical keyboard, that's a bargain. Kind of is, isn't it? That's cool. Equally, on the laptop, I'm happy to have something quiet when out and about. Yeah, I think this is the sort of machine for the person who mostly just leaves it plugged in, but occasionally needs, or like changes where it's plugged in. You know, it isn't exactly a desktop replacement. Like it's not super thick. It's still relatively light. It's still, you know, it'd fit in a backpack fine. But it's a lot of these gaming laptops are they're not portable. Like they are, but you wouldn't use it out and about. You wouldn't use it in, say, a courtroom. Jim, I've activated many Windows 10 installations with Windows 7 keys in the past, but it's not working anymore. Is this likely to be a forever thing, or you can see Microsoft reverting this? And Ish says they fixed the end of Win 7 license validating a couple months ago. It was supposed to be like 4 years ago. I didn't hear that news that it has actually ended, but yeah, it was meant to be quite a while ago that support ended. And so while I'd heard plenty of people using that method, I'm not surprised that it has come to an end. Yeah. Why use keys when mass activation exists? I'll be honest, I did use that for the test machine, because I change out hardware all the time, and so it deactivates itself constantly. And yeah, it is quite magical. That's why I went for the Lenovo Slim Pro, great all-round laptop with a 3050 GPU. Yeah, fair. That's perfectly understandable. And it obviously it depends what your sort of use case for a laptop is. For me, um, I I want a bit of horsepower, although the machine that I have been using as my laptop um, has been the HP Omen that I did a sponsor video for, like in 2018, 2019. And it's still fine. I think it's a Ryzen and a 2060 or something, like Ryzen 7 8 core or whatever, and a 2060. But I don't game on it. If I'm using it, I'm either watching YouTube videos while I'm away or I'm programming. So it's fine for that. What's my Microsoft activation scripts? It's a GitHub repo that lets you activate Windows ridiculously easily, and without the whole, like, AMS Pico trying to warrant that. Not that I would know, obviously. Do you think there'll be RTX 40 supercards? I wouldn't put it past Nvidia. However, I think they're selling well enough, or they're aware that it's sort of general market forces, and I feel like they can say, oh, we're gear, like they can say to their investors, we're gearing up to push the next generation, so we're not going to bother with anything else. But really, if they do push in a set of new cards and then they don't sell well, that's a bit of a bigger indication that things are in trouble, rather than just, oh, the cards that we launched 6-12 months ago, whatever, aren't selling quite as well anymore because they're not the new hot thing. But we've got the next thing coming soon, so just wait. Again, I wouldn't put it past them, but from a business decision, it doesn't seem like the best thing for me. 4080 Super is totally not a thing. Wink, wink. Well, you heard it here first. Of course, you've legally purchased Windows, but just happen to have lost the key, and it's only fair use to use mass. I mean, I have actually bought several keys, so yes. I could not recommend grey key sellers, as it's not technically an official way to get keys. I could also not recommend those grey key sellers, like Gemivo? Whatever they're called. They're definitely not a bad thing. The Shift F10 OBE skip thing was about as far as I went messing with Windows. Fair. I have several PowerShell scripts that delete all of the telemetry and stuff, and there's also a few programs that I once had that seem to have just disappeared into the void of somewhere on my system, but they're gone now. That do quite a lot of fun things. Seeing if there's one installed. My eye went yesterday. This eye fell apart again. So I can't read with this eye. I can't see anything. There's also a very good chance that the apps that I used were non-installed, like they were portable apps. So yeah. Yeah, no idea. if there is a 16 gig 4070 Super with an AD103 diode, but in my new card, 4080 Super on AD103 doesn't it already use like 95% of the die? I mean, there's a very good chance. Because is there a 4080 Ti? I don't think so, right? 4080, 4070 Ti, and a 4090. There isn't a Ti of 4080, is there? Or have I deleted a card from my brain? It's quite likely. Especially because I don't get. No. Okay, good. I've not gone that insane. Yeah. Well, Tech Power Up is reckoning that it's going to be AD102, which kind of makes sense. The failed 4090 dies. Vendor 10DE brackets NVIDIA did call it 4080 Super. Either way, it's going to be one of those two names. Although I don't really like when they mix and match in the same product stack, especially when there is room for them to use TI. But what do I know? They wanted to call the same car, what we currently see as the 4070 Ti, as a 4080, when really it's a 4060 Ti. So, you know, each to their own. We'll have a 4080 Super Pro Max Ti. Oh, don't Apple it up. Oh dear. Yeah. I've seen the whole build a slim down privacy respecting ISO with local account and bells and whistles, and I was like, Windows is not worth the hoo-ha. Microsoft can just see me on Steam. Fair enough. The PowerShell script that I have is one click run, which removes all the telemetry and that sort of stuff. I'll if Discord will let me, I'll share it in the Discord if you're interested. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Yeah. Maybe there'll be a 4070 Super that uses 8103, and it will be just a lower spec. But yeah. We will have to wait and see. As always, unfortunately. Yeah, I'll see if if I don't post it after the stream, ping me and remind me, and I shall do that. Yeah, it's you just use hashes to comment out what things you want it to do or not want it to do. There's really little stuff like when you open Windows Explorer, I really hate when they do the whole it takes you to quick access. So one of the settings is to have it take you to this PC instead, because I want to be able to access my drives when I open Windows Explorer. I don't care, like I don't want to access what I've accessed recently. Like, according to this, what I've accessed recently is 12 songs, because that's what's playing in the background of this this stream. So yeah, one of the toggles there is to set it to this PC by default. So whenever you open Windows Explorer, it will open straight to this PC. So yeah, it's not your PC anymore. It's this PC. I know, I don't like it either. One of the tools that has disappeared into the abyss of somewhere on my hard drive is a tool that lets you do just an insane number of tweaks. I think Linus might have talked about it, which so you might be able to find it that way. But I have a lot of stuff in my downloads stuff. Yeah, it's pretty useful. You can have a load of not power tools, although I do have that installed and I do use some of those things. Um, no, it lets you do a load of different customizations. Um, that looks like uh totally legitimate um uh Switch modding things. There's Windows debloat tools, but that was just the script. Something about a firmware? PVTO? Oh, I remember what that was. Nope, it's lost to the world, I'm afraid. Lost to the void. It'll probably be here somewhere. But yeah. If I find it, I will let you know. I still haven't installed my 48 into my main rig. Still new in box on my couch, sitting waiting patiently to go in its new home. Nice. It's a rather privileged position to be in. The highest end graphics card that I have here, I think, is still the 6900 XT, followed by the 3070 Ti. I don't think I have any 40 series cards still here. No, I don't think I do. Not sure you'll know as it's an old monitor, but I'm using an Acer R271 1080. It's good, but the images seem super sharp, but not in a good way. It makes it cartoon-like. Don't know how to change it. If there's not an option in the on-screen menu, then you're probably out of luck. You might have some. There might be some settings you can change in either the NVIDIA or AMD control panels, for your image settings, but yeah, it's mostly going to be on the monitor, in the on-screen menu. There should be a sharpness setting. Pretty much every monitor that I can think of has a sharpness setting somewhere. I came across Windows blinds the other day. I can't believe that software is still going. I haven't seen it since the 2000s. That is quite impressive. Factory reset the monitor. That fixed it for some Dell Ultrafine monitor I had years ago. That's a good shout as well. Yeah. And like realistically, monitors don't have that many settings, so if you do reset it, it's not like you're going to be losing, you know, it's not like resetting your PC or like, reset this PC where it deletes everything and you got to start, from scratch. So yeah, good option. I have a 6650 XT, which is getting painfully slow. What display connection are you using to it as well? I must say, my Arch Linux install is nice and snappy. I use Arch, by the way. I mean, that is one of the nice things about Linux is how snappy it is. There's a lot less bloat available there. HDMI. Okay. I mean, sometimes HDMI, especially if the cable's naff, can be a problem. So you might, might be worth trying a different cable if you've got one available, that sort of thing. But yeah, I was surprised Sticky Notes is around. I last used a copy in secondary school, which seemed to have had a virus in it, which was totally not embarrassing to be called out in class by the teacher. Nice. The only sort of virus that you could get away with when I was in school was the VBS scripts. where you like you write a script that opens the disk drive, then you close it and then it opens it again. That was still an option for a while. HDMI, DVI, VGA, I got about 20 HDMI cables. Fair. Try another one just in case. And also sometimes just disconnecting and reconnecting it can help. My test benches have 4090 or 4080 in them, so I haven't been gaming since Christmas Day. Only been benchmarking this year and watching streaming TV. Fair enough. I went for quite a while without really gaming either. Starfield has given me a game to play, and I definitely like having the the hardware in my system to be able to. But yeah. We had scripts that would mess with the AD, shut down server systems, etc. Nice. We had fairly locked down access for that. I tried Arch back when there was the Antigros program. Rip them, but ZFS breaks and Arch has too many mistimed updates. I couldn't vet them all before conflict/breakage. So that's kind of the thing, is that like with Windows it sucks. It really does. But you don't need to like deal with package conflicts and updates. Like everything is quite well self-contained. There's no like, oh, this package that you've installed, like I don't know, a web browser or something. Well, because it's all built locally, you have to have GCC installed, and you have to have libvirt64 and all of the dependencies installed, because they all yeah. So yeah, obviously there are pros and cons. That's one of the frustrations I have with trying to use Linux on a regular basis. You have to build your drivers. Exactly. At least with Windows stuff, it comes pre-packaged, which is, there's pros and cons to that too, but it is pre-packaged and ready to run, which is not always can be said for Linux stuff. Come on, Andy, we must get the PUBG X KFC collab rewards. John, what do you think about monitor power bricks? I think it's stupid when people complain about it. In my experience, that's what dies. After about 10 years, you just replace it. My secondary monitor is going on 16 years. So personally, I have had one monitor die, and it was the power supply that failed. It started smoking. The thing is, though, I just took the monitor apart, took the power supply off, desoldered the one component. Was two capacitors and an inductor that had failed, so I just desoldered them, soldered new ones on. Admittedly, I am in a sort of fortunate and skilled position to be able to desolder and resolder stuff. Not everybody has a soldering iron lying around and the skill and will to use one. So I agree. Personally, I do prefer having integrated power supplies because it's a lot less mess, a lot less, you have a single power wire that just takes your AC and feeds it into the monitor. There's also generally less like space constraints, so they can be a bit more efficient with it generally. And like I said, I've only ever had one monitor fail from a power supply. I've had a couple of monitors fail from things like the backlight just dying, like the LED or whatever. So John says, you just desoldered it. You're making my point for me. Though I'd probably be able to do it. Also makes it fatter and heavier. Fatter, not necessarily. Obviously, there is more room, but that is what you call it? They still have to have the scaler in there, or the controller board, and hotter. Again, most power supplies are pretty efficient. So you are not wrong that putting more heat generating components in the monitor is going to add more heat, but they're not. That's not a significant source of heat compared to the panel itself. The panel itself is wasting the majority of the light that it emits because the LCD layer is just not efficient at transmitting light at all. So yeah, there's swings and roundabouts, and again, out of the probably 15 monitors that I have here and that I've used on and off throughout the years, I've had one fail to power supply, and obviously an internal power supply. That's another thing. You got one thick power cable going to PC, but dozens from the power supply to the GPU. Could they not one thicker cable pair, or too much power factor in converting? I think it's generally just down to cost. Lots of thin wires are cheap, even though it'd be the same amount of copper. It's generally cheaper than multiple, which generally doesn't make sense, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, basically. And so it ends up being cheaper to have, 16 or 24 wires going to your graphics card, or whatever, than two big thick ones, one for 12 volts and one for ground. I think the only monitor fails I've had are self-inflicted, i.e. bump crash, oof, damn. Nice. Built into both my monitors, Dell 5K does use like 25 watts even in standby. Yikes, that's bad. I mean, because I often connect, well, not these days, it's been too dim, but because I often connect my monitors to my solar power source, and therefore I can monitor the power usage. All three of these monitors use about 100 watts when all three of them are on, and they use under 1 watt when they're all on standby. I thought mid voltage, low amp AC into the power supply, then it switches to low voltage, high amps to the GPU, more wire to carry higher amps with less burning than one. So you're right in the conversion factor. As far as I'm aware, the reason why we don't just have two thicker wires going to the GPU is, well, one, modularity, two, standard convention, and three, is the cost. Those thin wires are ridiculously cheap, especially because they're often stranded. So yeah, but you are right. It's only 12 volts DC going from the power supply to your graphics card, and you can do the maths on 12 volts, 600 watts for 4090. And obviously only half of those 12 pins are power pins, so let's do the maths. So there's 50 amps total, or 8 amps per cable. Considering that, let's say your whole system is using 800 watts, 230 volts from the wall, that's only 3.5 amps. So yeah, you're going from 230, 240 volts at 3.5 amps to 12 volts at, in total, 50 amps. But yeah, there's still multiple inductors there for a few different reasons. Your microwave uses like 3x more power than your average gaming PC. Yes and no. Microwaves are about 1500 watts. Your kettle draws more. Your washing machine or dishwasher draws more. They draw about 2 kilowatts, although they draw them for short periods of time while they're heating the water. Same with the kettle. Whereas your gaming PC, even if it is drawing 800 watts, which is less power, it's also, you know, for the extent of your gaming session, which might be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. So while yes, it can draw more power, or yours draws 2.5 kilowatts, must be a hefty one or very inefficient. Either way, it's, you know, you're only going to be running it for a couple minutes versus, you know, several hours of gaming, and therefore full load built in. Oh, it's got an oven built in, right? So it's not just the microwave then. Like, sure, if you have an oven built in which draws 16 amps, which actually we just picked up one for my friend Dan, who's just bought a new house. That's a 16 amp circuit at 230 volts, or 4 kilowatts or something like that. And his induction hob is going to be 7 or 8 kilowatts, 30 amps or so. So yeah, like, yes, but yeah. That'll explain it a lot. We have 8 people in our house. The washer, dryer, etc. is always on. So the dryer is different. The dryer actually, because it heats the clothes, it actually uses a fair bit more power. Yeah. The cooking plate also draws a max of 2.5 since it's a standard plug. Oh right, because you're are you limited to 13 amps as well? Because UK plugs have fuses in them, like in the plugs themselves, that are 13 amps, and obviously at 230 or 240 volts, depending on where you are and what you're measuring. That's just over 3. It's like 3.1 kilowatts. Or 230 volts is 2.99 kilowatts. But yeah, I don't know what the max current is for an EU plug. I wonder if I could sell my clothes dryer, buy a 4090 with the money, and just set my wet clothes next to the PC exhaust. Yes, but it still wouldn't be as effective because you're not moving them, sadly. Although you could probably hook up a relatively low power, cheap motor to them and yeah, be on your way. 16 amp per circuit max. Per circuit? So UK is also extra weird because we have ring mains. And so we can have, so they're generally 30 amp ring mains. So I can have my washer, like my washing machine, my dishwasher, my kettle, and my microwave, all on effectively the same circuit, all running at the same time, and they would all still run fine. Because the wire that you get put in the walls is rated for 30 amps at least. So yeah. Personal Sasha device. Isn't that battery powered? Per breaker, right? Okay, yeah. Yeah, so ours is normally 30 amp, but because each device is used at the plug, each plug is limited to 13. Not sure if I'm right, but I think my circuits are 40 amp and the small breakers are 10. Interesting. We wouldn't have any 10 amp breakers. It's quite basically we only really have a couple of circuits in our houses in the UK. You have a lighting circuit which is 6 amp, and then you have depending on how old the house is and how it's been wired, you'll often have an upstairs ring for all the plugs upstairs and a downstairs ring for all the plugs downstairs. You might have a dedicated line to things like your boiler, or if you have things like an electric shower or an induction hob or an electric oven, you might have a direct line to those. But yeah, you only generally have a small handful of circuits in a UK household. EU plugs Type E max 16 amps. Scary given how poop the plug is. Yeah. I have 3-phase power, basically 340 amp, I think. Very old socialist crap. Fair. You can get 3-phase power in the UK, but it's less common. Yeah. Would each fuse / RCD in the breaker be for a different ring? Yes, they all are. If you have a different fuse or RCD, break or whatever, they'll all be for a different circuit, and they should be labeled on your consumer unit panel. Yeah, or your distribution board, whatever you call it. For those that don't know, RCD is the same as what the Americans call GFCI, and that is residual current device. So it's if you touch a plug, if you conduct to ground, it will trip in, I can't remember what the time is, but it's like under 100 milliseconds. It'll trip and cut the circuit out. You can also have an AFD or whatever, automatic fault detection or something, which does a bit of extra stuff, although my electrician says that they're not worth crap. Just checked, got 7 breakers plus 2 linked for the stove. Interesting. So yeah, and at least here, mine is, I think I only have 1 ring for all of the plugs, although he did run an extra bit for the stuff at the back of the kitchen, so that's 2, boiler and lights. I think that's all I've got. Although this is a relatively small and very old house. Like this house was built before electricity. So yeah. You have 360 amp for 1 apartment. Interesting. I'm interested. So if power out on live is not matched and return neutral, it trips in case random grounding via toaster and bath. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. I did my own flip breakers a couple years back. Had old screw-in type. Still think electricity is magic. How the hell does power know the resistance is lower than lower 1 mil down the wire? Well, it doesn't. It does in the same way that water will try lots of different paths before finding the path of least resistance. Electricity does the same thing. It just does it so fast that you really, 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 really have to try to find it. If you look at there's a sort of art technique of basically applying high voltage to 2 ends of a piece of wood, and then it makes this really beautiful tree pattern in the wood, like burning it as it tries to find its way to the path of least resistance. And that illustrates it very nicely, that the electricity does try every single little bit until it finds the way of the path of least resistance. It just does that as fast as it can, at generally close to the speed of light, although the speed of light through different materials is different. Like speed of light through copper is slower than the speed of light through air. So yeah. You could just get hit by lightning to have a reminder without messing with wood. There you go. It's a 2020 house in the Netherlands, though. Got no gas. That makes sense, yeah. Especially the 2 linked to the stove. I take it you have... Do you have a heat pump, then? How do you do heating? Or is it resistive heating? I hope it's not resistive heating. I hope it's a heat pump. My earth leakage protection breaker is made in West Germany. Damn. Electricity is also a flow where the individual electrons themselves travel far slower than the speed of electricity. And electron flow is reverse to our thinking. It flows from flows from negative to positive because they're attracted. So yes, you're right. However, I think if I remember rightly, technically, electricity it's not a float. Like the electrons don't hop; they hit. In the same way that sound travels by just hitting. Heat pump and 20 solar panels. Ah, okay, yeah, fair. Fair. Well, this is quite the turn. I wasn't expecting to be talking about, home wiring today. Other than again, when am I ever expecting to talk about almost anything on these streams? Who knows? Anyway, I think I'm gonna leave it there. My back is in absolute agony, so I'm gonna go lie down. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope you all stay safe. I hope you all have fun. And I've got videos for you tomorrow and Monday, and I'll be back for a stream. Yeah. Right. I'm gonna go try and not be in pain anymore. Not possible. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for a video, Monday for a video, and next week for a stream.